Listen, ultrawide doesn't always work perfectly, but when it does, let me tell you fellas, it looks really good and I can't get enough, which is why today we're going to be doing a tier list of all the best ultrawide monitors that I've reviewed so far that you can buy in 2024. Yes, I have reviewed all of these except for one. I'll try and get you some links in the description below if you want to see the full reviews, but enough boofing around the bush. Let's get into it. First, starting off with the AW3423DW/and/or DWF. Now, the biggest differences between the two would be price, 165 Hz versus 175 Hz, and ease of firmware updates, as I believe now you can update the DW, but it isn't so simple. So, coming in with the specs of 3440 by 1440 and 165 Hz for DWF, 175 Hz for the DW, and it is a glossy quantum dot OLED. This is a really good monitor on paper. You're gonna get those inky blacks, near instantaneous response times, and great color, but at a price of $899.99 on Best Buy right now for the DWF, is it worth it or is it not so great of a purchase in 2024? Well, I'll tell you what, I think this lands solidly in the B tier for that price. Now, I will say if you can get it cheaper than that, I have seen it for $800 sometimes, I think it slides into A tier. But let's take a look at some other ones. Next up, we have the Samsung G85 SB, and I'll tell you what, guys, this monitor, it's basically identical to the last one, 3440 by 1440, 175 Hz glossy quantum dot OLED. So you're gonna get a great picture, and it comes in at the same price of $899.99 over on Amazon. And I actually do think this has some features when it comes to the menu itself that make it a little bit nicer to use, but I do personally have a history of quality control problems with Samsung, so I think it has to go below the Alienware just because from my personal experience, I've gotten some duds from them many times. Now, that being said, you know what? I feel like this is unfair to have them this close. Let's go ahead and say that the average price of the Alienware is a bit cheaper because I think it is. And with that being the case, I'm gonna bump that into A tier. I think that looks a little bit better. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below if you think that's right and where you would place all of these various different monitors. Now, do keep in mind, I will have affiliate links to all these monitors in the description below. So if you're interested in any of them for your convenience and my benefit, I do highly suggest using them. Now, next up, we have the Samsung G95 SC. This is the 49-inch 1440p. It's actually technically 5120 by 1440, 240 Hz glossy quantum dot OLED monitor. And yes, this is 240 Hz, and I'll tell you what, for that reason, I think I gotta bump it above the Alienware AW3423DW. In fact, I am a little bit torn on this because I want to put this one into S tier here, guys, but I have been hearing a couple of people in my Discord complaining about potential black screens on a specific firmware update. So for that reason, I'm a little bit nervous about it. I think we gotta stick it into A tier. Now, likewise, the G93SC, basically identical specs, except for it does not have the Tizen OS on it, but I've heard a lot more complaints about black screens on this one, so I think that black screens on specific firmware updates for this monitor could seriously be a problem. With that one, I feel like maybe it'll be a problem, maybe it won't, but for this one, I'm pretty sure based on the amount of feedback I've gotten that this thing is suffering from black screens. So even though on paper it's better, I'm actually gonna dump this one all the way down into C tier because I am seriously worried about black screens on this display. Didn't see them myself, but I've been getting just way too many reports. I gotta jump it all the way down. You know, this would have been like an S tier monitor, but it's gotta jump all the way down to C tier because black screens, unacceptable. Now, here's the only monitor I have not done a full review on, and the reason why is because it had such terrible coil whine on multiple models that were sent to me that I just simply could not do the review. So on paper, this thing honestly is really amazing. This would be an A tier type of monitor. However, because of those problems, it's going all the way into D tier. Now, once they fix it, as they told me they are fixing it, I think I'm gonna give it a second shot and hopefully it does raise way up there. But for now, it's gonna be D tier. Now, next up, we have the Gigabyte CO49DQ. Now, this monitor right here is, like those other 49-inch monitors, a 49-inch 5120 by 1440, except for this time 144 hertz glossy quantum dot OLED, so not 240 hertz. It's a bit of a jump down there, except for this one comes in at a price roughly of around $999. Now, I forgot to mention, I should probably go over the prices real quick. This one's typically $540. This one's typically $999 to $1,100. This one's typically $1,100 to $1,200. This one's typically around $900 for the DWF. And then this one's also typically around $900. So there you go in terms of the pricing. I am factoring the price in here, guys, when I do my assessments. This one is $999 right now. And I think, you know what? Even though it's not 240 hertz, because I have not heard of any black screen problems on this, the only issue that I've seen on this monitor right here is the fact that, well, I did have some odd EOTF behavior on it, although it might be actually fixable on the monitor's software. I've learned about new ways to mess around with the software on Gigabyte monitors, and I've been able to fix their EOTF issues, so I do believe you can actually do that. And at $999, you know what? If this was 240 hertz, it would be S tier, but I'm gonna drop it into, you know what? I'm gonna say it. I feel like for $100 more, even $150 more, that's a lot more screen. I think it is actually really nice, but that's gonna be honestly up to you guys whether or not you think that's the case. Now, this is gonna be a controversial one. The Asus PG34WC-DM. Now, this thing honestly has a lot of stuff going for it. It not only is a 3440 by 1440 240 hertz MLA OLED, which by the way, it's matte. Yuck! But it does have black frame insertion, KVM, and 90-watt power delivery. Now, some of these other monitors do have stuff, such as the Gigabyte has KVM, the NOCN had KVM, picture-in-picture, picture-by-picture, 90-watt power delivery, and the G93SC had picture-by-picture, but I feel like this one is the most feature complete. I mean, black frame insertion is really nice, but that matte, well, first of all, it did have a pretty severe firmware issue that was kind of difficult to fix, although you could fix it. Hopefully they fixed that by now. But aside from that, when I reviewed this monitor, this is, honest to God, the worst matte coating I've ever seen in my life. Matte coatings just aren't good in general. You're gonna get worse clarity out of it. It's gonna look kind of grainy. It's just not good. It can even make it look a bit washed out depending on your lighting. So it just doesn't make sense to use a matte coating on a premium monitor. Anyway, that's just absolutely unbelievably stupid to do to a high-end monitor. But what LG has done to this thing, because this is an LG panel that Asus is using, is unbelievable. It is, honest to God, I'm gonna say it, one of the worst looking monitors I've seen in my life. It looks terrible. Between the matte coating and the WRGB making the text clarity pretty bad overall, this is seriously one of the worst monitors I have ever laid my eyes upon, and that includes god-awful 60 hertz TN 1080p monitors. It is D tier, bottom of D tier. If I had an F tier, it would be an F tier. It is an awful monitor. I cannot stand this thing. It was a pain for me to even finish the review. It is a monitor I could not recommend to anybody at almost any price. Like, it would have to be like, I don't know, $300-400. That's too much. You couldn't pay me to use this. This is just an awful monitor. Next up, though, we do have the 57-inch Neo G9. Now, the full name of this thing is, let's not even look at it. It's just ridiculous. But it is a 7680 by 2160, so that is 4K super ultra wide, two 4K monitors glued together basically, which is really impressive. 240 hertz, also really impressive. However, yes, it does have a matte coating, nowhere near as bad as the PG34WC-DM, not even in the same realm of existence. But it's also mini LED, which means it's gonna get way, way brighter than the OLEDs at the cost of motion clarity. Now, if you're okay with that trade-off, also comes with picture-in-picture and picture-by-picture. And I do feel like because of the resolution and brightness, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. This is gonna sit there right below. This is tough because that matte coating, it really sucks as a matte coating. It's also, I believe, like $17.99.99 on Amazon right now, so it is more expensive. So I think between the matte coating and the higher price, even though it's 240 hertz, even though it's 4K, which is a huge, huge plus, I think it's actually got to sit below the glossy quantum OLEDs at the, lower resolution. So that's my opinion on that. And in fact, we gotta pick an S tier here, guys. We gotta do it. So you know what? I want to put this one in S tier. I'm just so worried that there could potentially be black screens that I'm not going to do it. So I'm going to put the Gigabyte into S tier. Does it deserve to be in there? I think that's a good question. That's going to be highly based on your opinion. So let me know in the comments below. But let's finish up by talking about the LG 45GR95. I thought this was QE. I think I did a mistype there. QE-B, I believe. This monitor, it also has, honestly, a horrendous matte coating, but for some reason, I feel like it's not as bad as the PG34WCDM. It's still got a 3440 by 1440 resolution, it's 240 hertz, and it is MLA OLED, much like the PG34WCDM, except for that monitor is way brighter than this one. However, part of me feels like this monitor just doesn't look as bad. And I'll be honest with you, I don't like the coating, but it's an 800R curved monitor. It's 45 inches, it's huge, and I think it's one of the most immersive monitors you can possibly buy. Like, the immersion on this thing is off the charts. So despite its flaws, you know what? I'm gonna smack it into B tier. But that's my opinion. Once again, affiliate links in the description below if you're interested in any of these monitors. Hopefully, after some firmware updates and more monitors come out that I can review, I can more confidently place a couple into the S tier. It seems like Ultrawide has been a little bit rough. I mean, C and D tier monitors there's quite a few. 3 in the C and D tier out of the 9 that I've reviewed. That's just not good. So hopefully we can get some better quality stuff. I want to see more A and S tier monitors come out, but that's my opinion. Let me know in the comments below what you think the tier list should look like. Whether you're looking to connect a new console, gaming PC, or just need a fast and reliable HDMI cable to connect over long distances, Rupro has you covered with their certified 8K HDMI 2.1 fiber optic cable, available in sizes of up to 50 feet and can deliver a perfect full 48 gigabits per second connection over distances other cables could only dream of reaching. And with 48 gigabits per second of bandwidth, it can easily drive 8K 60 FPS or 4K 144 FPS 10-bit HDR video through its ultra-thin, flexible, and durable housing, and it even supports ER. So if you're in the market for a cable that can drive a beautiful new TV or monitor, be sure to check out Rupro on Amazon today.